Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry, and we are live. We are live with the July cover girl, Dr. Rhonda Glover Reese. There she is there. We are doing the cover reveal. So she is live in person with us today, and there she is. There she is. And she is the retired, I call her the leading lady of law enforcement from the FBI, over 30 years. So we'll get into that in a minute. But my co-host, I want to make sure I give an introduction to the fabulous YB, Rob YB Youngblood, who is with us for the Black Speakers Network cover reveal that we do every single month. And YB, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I am an advocate for networking. In many circles, I'm known as the LinkedIn locksmith because of my ability to unlock the power of LinkedIn for my clients. I'm a two-time best-selling author, award-winning speaker, PR consultant, thanks to Dr. Pam Perry. And I love helping people to increase their visibility, credibility, and profitability. So I'm excited about being here with you, Dr. Rhonda.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be here with you.
And he's also an alpha guy. So I want to say that as well. Yes. And I just also too want to say condolences to your alpha brother that just recently passed suddenly. I can tell he's a very young man. And one thing about just like with any organization, you guys have a special pack. And I could tell that he was a mentor to many. And it's not, it's sad that he's gone, but it looked like he left a great legacy.
Oh yeah.
And part of, and super smart. I was reading, he had 2 degrees.
2 masters. Yeah, 2 master's degrees, man.
Math.
This dude math and computer science.
Okay.
And he was willing to get into the classroom to teach. You need that, but that specialized knowledge is important.
Yes.
Once you have that, you can literally write your own ticket. I think a lot of times people are focused on being so general, thinking that they can do everything with everybody, but that doesn't get you to the level you need to get to. You have to be a specialist.
That's right.
And once you are a specialist in the particular problems that your specialty, like that you can solve, you'll be attracted, or people will reach out to you and say, hey, can you help me? I understand you're an expert in that area. So Lou was definitely an expert in math and computer science. So thank you for the condolences. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So speaking of mentoring and legacy, Dr. Rhonda, give us a little bit of your background. Now, we had a conversation earlier that you have had a career in the FBI. Tell us where the inkling for that started, because not everybody, well, especially Black and especially women, and then especially Black women, to rise up in the ranks of leadership. So give us the inkling of where it started. Like, did you want to be an FBI agent? Did you want to be a lawyer first? Did you want to be a police officer first? Where did it start?
Well, it started when I was a little girl. It's all I ever wanted to do. That's all I ever wanted to do, to be a special agent with the FBI. And I was a little girl. I used to look at the FBI with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. I was really fortunate to have a TV in my room. I grew up as an only child, so I had a TV. Now, sidebar, my mother didn't want me to have it, but my daddy wanted me to have it. So my daddy said, you have a TV. So I had a TV. And I looked at the FBI with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. regularly. And I was fascinated by that program, and it was embedded in me. So when we talk about seeing people in places and really wanting to go somewhere and you're not sure how to do it, visualize. And so I saw the FBI. And so fast forward, in high school, I was in my counselor's office and I saw a pamphlet with FBI on it. And that's when it all just came together. I knew that is exactly what I was going to do. And it was just really, really interesting how, as years went on, people would tell me that I would talk about it, when I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was very, very clear. And I didn't realize I talked about it like that, but apparently I did. I knew all through high school, college, graduate, that's exactly what I was going to do. And I started with the FBI in 1984. And some of your listeners weren't even thought about then, but I started 84 as a clerk.
Okay.
And there is a story behind that that we may not have time for.
Hmm.
I spent 4 years in a
Mm,
support capacity, and I applied to become a special agent, and I went through the all the steps and all the processes, and I became an agent in September, 1988, and I spent 34 years in the FBI. I retired
mm.
in September 2018.
Wow. Now that's not the usual path. I would say that most people who come into the FBI, they are not uh they wouldn't start that was so basically your entire career has been in the FBI.
Yeah,
Most
I grew
people
up in the FBI. I grew
yes.
up in the FBI.
Now most people when you think of the path, are they coming from other law enforcement areas into the FBI? What is it? What's a typical path, I guess you would say?
Well, a typical path might be military, law
Okay.
enforcement. They might be a lawyer. They might be an accountant. But see, what's interesting, as time went on and as the Bureau changed and as challenges changed and criminals changed, people from different backgrounds started to garner interest in the FBI.
Okay.
Since and really after 9/11, you had people that had a sense of pride of being an American, and they wanted to
Mhm.
step up and demonstrate how they felt about being an American, and
Mhm.
so they wanted to serve. And so you had people that were coming from all points of different areas of it and had different backgrounds. We had doctors, we had lawyers, we had people that were in full in in their career, and they started another career. And
Wow.
so it's real interesting to see that transition. And so the Bureau has really harnessed that because people come with different abilities and
Mhm.
capabilities. And so it was a interesting time to be in and to see how the Bureau was able to shift. And I was part of that shift. I saw when the Bureau decided, well, we're going to need more people that speak different languages. So when
Hmm.
I talk to young people, I'm always asking them, I said, can you speak can you speak another language? Do you have the capability of learning a second language or a third or fourth language? Because I've talked to some young people that love learning languages. Bringing that capability to the FBI is something that will raise your application to a whole nother level. And so because the FBI has thousands and thousands of applicants every year for or throughout the year for the agent position, you have to position yourself where you stand out.
Hmm.
Mm.
And so you don't want to look like everybody else. You want to bring something to the table. And so I like to push anybody that is interested in the FBI to really think really long and hard about what you want to major in school, because there are certain degrees that will not set you apart. For instance, a lot of young people want to major in criminal justice. Well, criminal
Right. Yeah.
justice, while you may be able to get a position in the law enforcement space, it is not a competitive degree. It
Mm.
it is what it is, straight talk, no chaser. It's not a
Mm.
competitive degree. Now, if you want to major in criminal justice, I'm going to suggest that you get your master's in computer science or any other sciences,
Mhm.
physical science, engineering,
Mhm.
go to law school, get, just get something that's really going to elevate you and make you stand out on paper, because that's what you need, because you have people all over the country applying to become agents with the FBI. And if you really want to be an agent, you want to bring something to the table. You want to be able to say, I can do this for you, FBI. I bring this this skill to the table to help you work white collar crime better, to help you attack violent crime, to help you look at organized crime, to help you look at securities fraud, to combat counterterrorism and counterintelligence. I bring this to the table. So look at me, FBI, because I have all of this in my background. And so, that's my battle cry, and really helping young people or anyone interested in the FBI, and helping them, understand the importance of really being well-rounded and just being prepared and really positioning yourself to stand out.
Yeah, I think that's it's an important piece to understand the power of positioning. But let's talk a little bit about the pivot, right? So
Yes.
I'm not going to put you out there because you said when you started the FBI. So I'm not going to talk about when you finished school, but a big part of the pivot in terms of you going into your career. How did you make the transition from that into your speaking career?
Well, another story, and I'd be as quick as possible. So yeah, speakers, I tell you that. So when I was working with the FBI, I just become a supervisor, and I was presenting an investigation that needed to be approved by assistant directors, people across the street from the FBI at the Department of Justice. It was all these people in the room. And as I was presenting, I heard my voice shake. I started to sweat. Sweat poured all down my back. My palms were moist. And as I presented, I was so incredibly nervous. And I knew as I walked out of that room that I had something to do. I had a problem, and I needed to address that problem. And I needed to do it immediately, because that was part of my job, to speak, to connect with people. And I could not do that if 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 I'm nervous and my voice is shaking and I'm just out of sorts. And so I joined Toastmasters, and to
Ah,
really
that
help
sounds
me,
that
yeah,
sounds
to
like
help.
the speaker Brian Oles, the founder of Black Speakers Network, the same thing. He was one that joined Toastmasters, and it really inspired him to speak more and really start BSN. That is really
Yes.
that Toastmasters is a great way to get out of the fear, because they make you practice
They
every
make
single week
you.
if you go. And
Oh,
so
yes.
Toastmasters is a group. Toastmasters International, been around for hundreds of years, is a
Mhm.
great way to start to really learn how to manage your nerves. I think we'll all get nervous in
Yes.
front of a crowd, but to the point where like you said, when you're sweating, your palms that part can possibly subdue, but
Oh,
it
yes.
doesn't sound like you're shy anymore.
No.
Well, what's interesting, every now and then that fear is like around the corner and
Mhm.
might bubble up, but then I suppress it. I'm like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not having it today.
Mhm.
I'm getting out there. So now when people ask me to speak, I say yes.
Yeah.
I say it. Let me get out there. Let me get out there. And so when you talk about the pivot, when you talk about the shift, that
Mhm.
is a major shift, because I'm not sweating. I'm not I'm not, my voice is not shaking.
Right.
So, and right now I embrace it. I embrace it. When
Mhm.
that door opens, I step through, and I enjoy it. I
Mhm.
really, really do, because I know it can still be a challenge, but I love the challenge, because I know that I have something to say,
And
and
Right.
you're
I
speaking on
know
something
that
you
I have a lot of information. I've got 34 years in the FBI, and I spent uh, you know, close to 20 years in leadership and in different roles in the FBI. And I learned about so much about me, about as a Black female serving in a role that is you typically see white males in, and sharing the things that I've done, to share the things that I did not do that I wish I had done,
Mm-hmm.
things that I did that I wish I did not, I wish I had not done. So it's all of that that I want to share with people that are interested, particularly women, because there are a lot of things that we allow to get in our way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to help women to understand what that looks like and just kind of strategize what are some of the things they need to do to help them move forward in their careers, particularly if they're interested in becoming agents or moving up in that leadership space.
And
Yeah,
so, like,
in the oh, I was gonna say
Uh,
in this issue, it highlights some of your topics. So leadership, overcoming fear. What are some of the other things that you drive out there to your audiences when you speak? What are some of the other topics that you touch on as a speaker?
well, you mentioned to talk about fear. I talk about transition because when I was in the FBI, I started thinking about retiring maybe like 10 to 15 years before I retired. I
Mm-hmm.
really was thinking about, well, what is retirement going to look like for me? What do I want to do? When do I want to retire? What is it, finances, and where do I want to live? I'm just thinking about those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, fast forward to when I was an assistant special agent in charge in New Haven, Connecticut. It was one day, it was on a Monday and beginning of the week where the phones are ringing and a lot of things are going on, and I'm getting all these calls and emails and requests to talk to my child, or I have someone that really wants to be an agent. I really want you to talk to them about your career. And so as I'm getting these calls, and I'm like, God, what are you telling me? What's going on here? And then it just hit me,
mm-hmm.
coach, you're going to be a coach. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really worked on because, and I saw myself being a coach, and I realized that that is part of what my superpower looks like, that coaching and mentoring. And so I worked on 2 certifications to ensure that I was able to bring uh, that coaching ability to front and just to be the best coach that I could be. But when I talk about those things, when I talk about coaching and mentoring, I'm always talking about how to be better in whatever you're doing, how to be the best law enforcement officer that you can be, how to
Mm-hmm.
be the best person that you can be. So I'm talking about that. I talk about leadership training. I'm talking about team development. I'm talking about just really honing your skills. And so I just enjoy talking about things that I know about. And one of the other things that I talk about is active shooter. After I provide active shooter, I do that with my husband, active shooter training with faith-based institutions. And so I enjoy doing that because that's a space that
Mm-hmm.
really, that bridge needs to be, you know, you got to build that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of churches out there that are not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
They are not thinking about what could happen and
Yeah.
really being prepared. So, I love getting out there talking about that, and anything that just warms my heart. And that's and those are the things that warms my heart. I mean, I do a youth conference every year through the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. It's a leadership conference,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to be in New Orleans this year, in August, and it's the 23rd annual Noble Youth Leadership Conference. So I have the opportunity to engage with young people and help them and build their foundation for success. So I'm in places talking, I'm in places sharing, and because I don't believe in holding on to what I know. There are people out there that do that. I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I don't want to be that person. And so that's one of the reasons why I worked and I got my doctorate in organizational leadership, studying Black females ascending to leadership roles in the federal sector. And all the things that I learned from my research is, okay, women need to know this. And what's interesting about my study was that the information that I garnered through my research is for everybody. It's for men. It's for all races. And it was just real interesting because as I was typing up this dissertation, I became quite emotional because I wish I had all of this when I was coming up. Because there were things that I realized that I could have done to help me go higher, to help me go to the next level, to help me go to the senior executive service in the federal government. But that doesn't mean I can't help other people get there.
Right.
And so I really love it. I love getting out and just sharing that information, sharing my study and sharing my journey, because I know I don't look like what I've been through. And so I want to tell everybody and just help them understand you can do it, but there is work you have to do to ensure you can get there.
Right.
And that's where people experience that block, that that there's the work that they have to do that they're not doing.
One of the things that you talked about active shooting trainings and that churches need to be more prepared. When did that become a thing? Was it that one mass shooting, I believe it was in South Carolina, or was it a little bit before that? Because it seems like more shootings, mass shootings are in schools and churches, places where people are very vulnerable and they're
Right.
not really thinking about it. I mean, any shooting anywhere is people are going to be vulnerable, but a church, where did that start for you? And you said, well, I really want to do workshops for that.
Well, what's interesting, I was asked out of the blue. It was a Noble member, and she just asked me, she says, can you do a presentation on active shooter? And remember, I talk about that fear and talk about the reluctance, the things that show up that can keep you from moving forward. Because I could have said, well, no, I don't talk about that. But then I said, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And I put, I did my work. I put my presentation together. I brought my husband in on it. I brought in another agent. And we all three of us, we had our different parts and portions through, because it was an all day training. And we educated, we uplifted folks, and we explained to them and shared with them that they do have power, and there are things that they can do to be prepared, and things that they can do to be on the lookout, to be vigilant,
right,
and be ready. Because you have some churches that they members, this is a building. It's a church, but it's still a building. And so you have some church members say, God will protect us. God will protect. Yeah, he'll protect you, but he expects you to do to do some preventative work. There are things you can do in order to help God help you. So that's that. So we help them understand that the best way that we can. And so they get it. They like, okay, we can do that. We can do X, we can do Z, we can do all of these things to prepare, to ensure that they are protecting and really watching after the people that walk through their doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pam, it kind of reminds me of that saying that somebody said, trust God, but lock your doors.
Exactly.
Right?
You're right.
People will say, well, God will protect, God will, but there's some folks out here that they don't want to do the Lord's work. So it's better to
Yeah,
be prepared than to be sorry. So that's
that's
good.
right.
And you
That's
said your
right.
husband, was he in the FBI too, Dr. Rhonda?
No, my husband is retired military. He spent
Military.
close to
Okay.
30 years
Okay.
in the army.
Okay.
And so he brings so much to the
To that
presentation
conversation.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so much. So
Oh
much.
my
So
goodness.
it's fun, and it's amazing as well, just to experience the shift that people
Mindset.
feel. They're like, wow, yeah, because they're like, oh, okay. And
Mhm.
it's putting that information together that they can see,
Mhm.
and that we can share. And see, we're bringing that experience to them. We're not just throwing something together. We've lived it. I mean, I was the assistant special agent in charge in New Haven, Connecticut during the Newtown shooting. And
Mm.
Mm.
so I've lived it. I've experienced it.
Mhm.
And so there are things that have come out of all the different shootings, and there are things that people can do to be mindful and to even prepare your building, because we also do consulting and going to
Okay.
different churches and just looking at what what the building what the building looks like, and what are your doors, what kind of handles you have on your door, and
Mhm.
just really doing a deep dive in your church and in your building, and just making sure that it's protecting the people that are coming through those doors.
Mhm. That is it. So we have the cover here. You can kind of see a little bit of the background there of I guess it's the Constitution and the
Mhm.
flag. And this,
I love
is
that.
appropriate for July, right? So this particular issue, we talk about creating a diverse workforce for law enforcement agencies across the globe, and you were perfect for that. The career coach for law enforcement, but you also help other people as well. But that
Mhm.
is a specialty, like YB was talking about earlier, about being a specialist, and people will come to you for that.
Mhm.
Talk about some of the examples of some of the people that you have mentored or coached in the career law enforcement arena or area.
Well, I'm proud to say that I've coached chiefs of police in different departments. I've
Oh,
coached police officers that want to go higher in their
yeah.
departments. I've coached special agents in the FBI and different federal agencies. And I mean, I'm a coach now with an entity where it's mostly law enforcement. But one
Mhm.
of the things that's real that's just that I just love coaching and mentoring. And I mentioned earlier that is my true superpower. And it really is. You learn as you continue your path and your journey. You start to determine what are you good at? What can you really bring to the table? And
Mhm.
that's what I bring.
Mhm.
I love talking to young people. I love coaching them. I love coaching women in law enforcement, and I could tell you the when I experienced the shift, it was just a short story. I'm sitting at my desk in FBI headquarters, and the list of promotions came out, and three women that were on the list, they were promoted, and these were three women that I had mentored, and
Wow.
these are all women of color.
Oh, good, good.
And
That's
I'm
good to
sitting
know.
at my desk, and I start to get emotional. I had to get up and I had to walk to the ladies' room, and I went into one of the stalls and I just cried,
Mhm.
because it was that point I knew, at that moment, I knew what God wanted me to do. He wanted
Mhm.
me to continue to help women move forward and go higher, to ascend to leadership roles. And that's when I knew what I would study for my dissertation. I knew that what I was going to do my research on in it for my doctorate. I knew that is when I knew that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because while I tried to go higher, I served in acting roles, acting senior executive service roles. That's like the highest level of leadership in federal government. I would get so close, but I just didn't get over the line. But I did,
Mhm.
so but I wanted to help. I wanted to understand, well, what is it that I didn't do, or what do what do women need to do? What how did some women get there and some didn't? And so it was important for me to study that so I could share that that roadmap. And that's exactly what I do. I'm telling it. I'm
Mhm.
telling it. I'm just telling it all. And I want everybody to know. Look, I got the roadmap. I know how to get you there. It's you will get there. You will get there. You got to do the work. You
It's
got to
kind of
do the
like
work.
It's kind of like YB. He's a coach to professionals to
Mhm.
monetize their networking skills.
Mhm.
And talk a little bit about discovering superpowers, because I think that's for everybody to really understand that. And that's where they'll have success, not just for themselves, but also why God placed you here. So,
Mhm.
talk about that coach to professionals to monetize their networking skills, and kind of, obviously it's from the book, but kind of
Yeah.
talk a little bit how you discovered that YB in terms of what it is that you're doing now.
It was as of late that I was able to even put the language together because I'm in constant growth, right? Being around people like yourself and folks that are growing and stretching, and I'm like, okay, how do I make this crystal clear to speak to a problem that many of the people that I want to work with may have? And I'm constantly hearing how people are struggling with networking, and that there are still people that are fearful when it comes to networking, even to the point of missing out on opportunities. And so as I began to look at what have I been doing over these last 20 years, right? So I graduated from Virginia Union, the greatest HBCU in the nation, 2004, right? So this is my 20-year class reunion. And so I'm constantly evolving. And many people know me as the LinkedIn locksmith. They know me as an alpha. They know me all these things. But what can I do to promote myself and grab the attention based on what the marketplace is looking for, right? So even though I know what the LinkedIn locksmith does, I literally have people who market to me thinking that I'm a locksmith, meaning like I pick locks. So what that
Okay.
tells me is that they're confused, and
Yeah.
confused people don't buy. And so when I decided to continue to push the book, Collaboration Creates Currency, I said, what is that one thing? There's the book out there called The One Thing. I am proficient and an expert at networking, even to the point of being able to make money from networking. And so if I can do that and it's not theory, then I can coach other people to do that. And so now it has actually opened up doors. As a matter of fact, I just got into an awesome community called the Black Executive Men Group, all
Mm.
because of networking, a bunch of phenomenal corporate leaders. And they have one subgroup called Authentic Networking. And
Huh.
Dr. Pam, you would have thought I was a catfish in Louisiana swimming around in the Gulf, because I'm like, that's my thing. And so now I have a language that now I promote myself as an authentic networker, which now people say, well, what's the difference between networking and authentic networking? Well, most people who are just networking focus on themselves.
Right.
They are not as authentic, they're not as transparent, they're not as direct. They're kind of matter of fact because they actually want something from you, but they kind of play around and like, oh, let me just network. When you're authentic, you're direct, you're upfront, you let people know exactly what it is that you're looking to accomplish. And if it's a good fit, great. If it's not a good fit, great. But that also plays into, once again, my personal growth, Dr. Pam, because I am a recovering people pleaser, right? When you're a people pleaser, you say things to people based on what you think they want to hear. But when you've recovered from that, you don't worry about what people want to hear. You say what's on your heart. Now, obviously, with class and with tact and with poise, but you're not afraid of the reaction. It's going to come regardless. But if you're authentic, people will respect you more because you're being genuinely you. And so that's where I'm at with that. And I'm actually picking up tremendous traction, even as a speaker, because that's a gap that many people in the marketplace, especially those who come from marginalized communities, that's a challenge that they have. And so it's positioning me to add way more value in that specialty than I've ever had in my career as a speaker.
And I also too find that in the age of the internet, a lot of younger people have certain skills that we take for granted
Yes.
that they don't have and they have never had to really develop as much. We were just talking the other day when even talking on the phone growing up for
Mm-hmm.
us was that you're talking on the phone and that's all you can do. And
Yeah.
you could be in a room with other people, they're hearing you talk on the phone, and then sometimes in the household, maybe the other person can pick up
Pick
on
up the
the phone.
line.
Yeah,
Start screaming
and my
at you.
daughter was like, "Really? Someone can pick up the other line of a phone?"
They can pick up the other
Yes,
line.
they can. It's
Yeah.
like and they wanna hear what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so it's just certain skills that we have just because we grew up in a different
Mm-hmm.
era of being more, uh, personal touch.
Right.
That the era now is that, you can slide left, slide right, you can get a slide into somebody's DM. It
Right.
is a whole 'nother way to communicate, but will never go away is face to face.
That's
So
right.
you have to know how to engage, how to shake a hand, how to embrace someone the right way without being, you know, incorrect way of doing things like that. It's just certain etiquette and protocol that younger people, I would say younger people, those that grew up with the cell phones, like from
Mm-hmm.
middle school on, that they don't know. And networking, if you were to say, "Oh, let's go to a convention," because even like Dr. Rhonda, her convention is coming up in August, the
Mm-hmm.
for the young people. They
Mm-hmm.
have backpacks, they are taking notes, they have to probably sit with each other all day, they are in uniform. I mean, that's probably a whole nother way that they're learning in a professional development conference that they've never learned how to really navigate or quote unquote network at a professional conference, which is really part of where we learned over the years. We were always going to professional conference at Black Speakers Network. They
Mm-hmm.
have live events. There's always different events. Sherwood has events, Speaker Con. And so when you go into a room full of people, how do you engage?
Right.
And one of the things, our first issue, Dr. George Fraser, who myself, Brian, and YB, we call him Uncle George Fraser, the
Mm-hmm.
power networking guy. He talks about the way that you network is you be a giver, that you look for ways to give, not to get, but to
Mm-hmm.
give.
Right.
And so that's one of the ways to get rid of the fear of networking is to go into a room and say, "How can I connect people? What is it that they're looking for?" It may not be something that I can give them, but I can connect them with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really big part of networking that we all learn from George Fraser, Dr. George C. Fraser. He wrote the book, Success Runs in Our Race. And all of us know that success runs in our race, meaning the Black race. And we
Mm-hmm.
want to just make sure that we're leaving legacy for that, that we're teaching younger people, that we're mentoring. I mentor other PR professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Dr. Rhonda, she mentors other uh, people who are in leadership and law enforcement. You mentor professionals, executives, and that. So whatever our superpower is, it's not for us. It's for other people to
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
for us to share, to have other
that's
people
right.
grow. That is so true. That is so true.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
is the next issue on the front of the cover is the next person that I wanted to showcase was if you hover over that, you'll see that there is a video. And so, Dr. Rhonda, there's a video there of you and I speaking. I think it was last year, so you can people can go and really hear more of your story there. Inside the issue, we have uh, Speak Sell Shine. And that was an event, as well as obviously I do PR, but the Speak Sell Shine event is in DC YB was there last year. We had it at the National Press Club. This year, we're having it at the Howard Theater. But it's where people take the stage, meet the media, and they really have the assets of their speaker reels, photos, uh, conversations about sales, because that's one thing that speakers kind of don't really like to do,
Yeah,
uh, because it's like you got to ask someone, and it's always with any sales, it's you can face rejection. And so we talk about speak, sell, and shine, meaning not just speaking and obviously knowing how to craft your speech, but also how to sell so that you can ask. I talked to a speaker the other day, and I asked her, how does she get most of her speaking gigs? And she said, I ask. It's like, okay. And she's been speaking for over 30 years. This is
hmm
Jewel Diamond Taylor. And Jewel Diamond Taylor is she's spoken on stages of Essence Festival and things like that. So she says she has to ask, but how to ask is really the key.
that's right.
And that's one of the things that's going on. Then the next we have we're talking about law enforcement. And so there is an interview there of Kenyatta McKinnon where Dr. Rhonda and Kenyatta were in a interview with me talking about their careers in law enforcement. Kenyatta retired, I guess, after about 26 years in from the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, and she was in leadership in there. And so it was a real interesting conversation because I told him, I said, "You women were trailblazers in that whole area to be, moving up first to go into it, and then to move up and to be leaders in it." And then again, she's coaching and mentoring women in leadership as well that want to go into law enforcement. This year, July, 7 years. Speakers Magazine has been around. Yes,
Woo!
yes.
Let's go.
This is 7 years, and real excited about that because and we've been in partnership, with BSN for 6 years. So
Mhm.
our first year was kinda crunchy. We were coming out, and we didn't kinda know what we were doing, but I knew in my heart it was like it was to amplify the voices of Black speakers and promote
Right,
them.
right.
And then when Brian and I, when we met, it was like kindred spirits, and so we decided to partner. And it's been 7 years for the magazine, 6 years with BSN. So I'm really really happy about that, for the magazine having the impact that it has. That really, someone sent me a picture the other day, and they said, "Look where I found the magazines," and they were in the studio in the green room at Fox 2 News. So the magazines go where you don't go, right? So we can go a lot of places, but if you have a printed magazine, they go out into media and they go into hands of event planners. And that was the whole point, because I never want to hear another event planner say, "Oh, we don't know any Black speakers," or "We
Mhm.
don't know any." Now you do. You got a bunch of them.
And
So
I
the
and I'll say this, Pam. To have this magazine, first of all, 7 years is tremendous. But to have this
Yes.
magazine as a speaker is no different than having your own book. This is literally a business card that you
Mhm.
can give to someone. You can show it to someone. It enhances the credibility, and then to be a cover, be on a cover feature. That's clutch. So kudos to
Mhm.
you once again, Dr. Rhonda, for being on this on the cover for this July.
Thank
Yes.
you too.
And
Look
then
at you though. I see you.
he
Thank
was on the
you.
cover for the Speak Sell Shine. So that was a special
Yeah.
edition that we did, and then also in the December issue. But he's written for the magazine as well. And Brian
Mhm.
writes for us every single month as well. Brian Oles is a founder, CEO of Black Speakers Network. And he really, on this particular one, he writes really good articles. I don't give him a lot of space. It's only about 350 words, but he's really succinct with it. He could probably write a book, which we did write a book.
Yes, we did.
I'm
I got my
looking.
book. I got my book around here
You got
somewhere.
your book right here? Okay,
Speak
okay.
up. Speak up.
There it is. So yeah,
Yeah.
so he had us all in that particular book, which I can't find right now, where we were all in it together, 300, almost 300 pages. But
Yeah.
this particular issue, he talks about from social posts to news headlines, the role of building authority. So a lot of times, building visibility and credibility talks about
Mhm.
that, but then also authority. Authority gives you that edge where people are saying you are the go-to person. So he writes about that. And all, if you can, go to speakersmagazine.com, read all the back issues. And even if you go through and read all of Brian's articles, yes, read all of Brian's articles and all the articles in the magazines, it will just bless your soul,
Yeah.
because you'll find out it, from different things like 5 things every author site must have, or Brian writes about the strategic events and how to leverage your influence with events. I mean, there's so many ways about building your speaking business. Besides
Mhm.
featuring the speakers, we also have articles
Mhm.
that really help you enhance your career.
Yeah.
This is another person that was in the military, Lieutenant JJ Conway. She was actually the cover for the month of June. She does a Juneteenth event, but she is a retired, and you remember YB? Oh my God, she was so
Mhm.
fascinating.
Mhm.
Lieutenant Colonel, retired from the Army, and she was the first Black physicist
Yep.
in the U.S. Army, and
Mhm.
she's gonna write a book. She can write a book now. She's retired from the Army. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna say right there.
Yep.
She's
Yep.
had a
Yep.
lot of things going on in there. So that again, it's not a lot of women. They didn't. First of all, they didn't want her to really. They said physics wasn't for Black people. They
Mm-mm.
told her that like straight up. And she was like, "What?" So anyway, so obviously she did it and she retired from there as a lieutenant colonel. So that is another woman that is just doing really well in that whole area as well. The next one we have is a uh, the center spread of Dr. Rhonda Glover. So you can kind of read a little bit about her speaking engagements and a little bit about her why, or why she does what she does, and then really just talking about her passion investing in people, which is why she realizes that coaching and mentoring is one of the main things. One of the things that says that she says that she takes time to understand each individual's strengths, weaknesses, and career aspirations, and tailoring her mentorship to help them achieve their goal. Everybody needs that. Everybody needs someone to really take the time to help them assess where they need to go, especially if they're just starting out or if they're just kind of floundering in their career.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's one of the things that, from the FBI to now her own company as a CEO is really about elevating leadership. Obviously, Rhonda, you were in the FBI, but you were in leadership for decades.
Oh
So
yeah.
you definitely can speak to that for sure. And that is one of the things that really your coaching firm does, and really make sure. And I think we're going to have some videos of this particular one, and we'll embed that one in the center as well. So we'll embed this particular one in there as well. And then
Uh,
the next page is the um, this is a book. So Karen Taylor Bass has been in Speakers Magazine, and she's a speaker, platform speaker. She's a publicist, retired publicist, I guess you would say. She still does a little PR, but really
Mhm.
her own career now. She is working as a certified yoga instructor, corporate wellness speaker. She started out her career working in the music business, working with Mariah Carey and uh, she spent many years working with Jill Scott as her publicist and really helping her with her career. And then now Karen is really doing this is her first novel, From Bitter to Better. So I'm really, really proud of her. Uh, you talk about a pivot. It was an entire pivot. I've been in PR my whole career. So she has been in PR probably 20 years. And now the
Mhm.
next few, she's doing a whole nother thing as a writer, speaker, and corporate wellness coach. And again, looking at what it is that is her superpower, she really took her own health that wasn't that great and now showing other people how to really manage stress, and stress is a big thing. Mental wellness is a big thing, and that's really where her main passion is right now. And I always think people can take their passion and make it a profitable career if you are
Yes.
passionate about. And so I'm just really proud that she's doing that. The 7-year article is written by Mark Perry. He actually tried to pen a article that tried to take 7 years and put it in 350 words. So he did a good job on that. But he talked about some of the covers that we had over the years, and the first cover being George Fraser. And George really set the tone of the
Mhm.
magazine Success Runs in Our Race and about networking and uplifting others. And so I'm really glad about that. Willie Jolly, who was at our Speak Sell Shine event, he was a cover at the beginning of this year, and he is still a big advocate for all the work that BSN does, as well
Mhm.
as the work that we do at Speakers Magazine. Stephanie Mills is on Broadway right now. She was a cover in 2020, but a lot of people don't realize that Stephanie is 66, and just did another pivot. I mean, she started on Broadway, now she's back on Broadway, doing a big role there now. And but people don't realize that she's such an advocate and an awesome, amazing speaker. She was my PR client when I did a book for her son. So yeah,
Mm,
she is amazing. So take a look at that. I think there's a video there. I'm not sure. Hover over that a little bit and see Monet. Yeah, there's a video
mhm,
there as well. So you actually hear the narrative about Speakers Magazine over the last 7 years. And then this one, I believe, is Esther. Esther is um, a global leader. Esther Graham on the next page.
mhm.
Oh no, that's Yolanda.
Yep.
So Yolanda is in our Ready Set Go Speak program, where she actually is a person that helps people get their systems together. Most people can start a business, but what sustains and grow your business is a system. And
Mhm,
she's really good at helping people get that part of their business together. That's not the fun part for a lot of the people who start businesses. They just want to be creative and they want to do
mhm,
all the things and they want to talk to the people, but you need a system. So
mhm.
she's helping primarily a lot of female entrepreneurs transform their business. And her company is called the Business Assistance Group. And she works a lot. She's right now she's working with the federal government, and so now she's going to take that pivot again and then really help women get their systems and things like that together. Whether it's accounting, it is your digital systems, but any kind of systems that you need that makes it so that your business can be scalable and you in repeatable business.
Right.
That's one of the things. He was at Speak Still Shine too, YB.
Yep. Kelly Wright.
Yes, Kelly Wright, and he is one of the ones, Rhonda, that he offered, and I told you that give me a date. He offered to interview you. He would love to interview you. He saw you read your story. He says, I've got to have her on the show. So his show is called America's Hope, and you can be on his show. So that's one of the things about being in the magazine. You never know who's going to see it, and it's like, hey, I need them. So, but Kelly has been a career journalist for over 30 years, Emmy Award winner. His show is shown on NTD, which is a global international news station, and he is just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Tells a little bit about his story. He talks about America's Hope. He is also a minister, which is kind of unusual for a reporter to also be an ordained minister, but he is. And then he also does a lot of other things that read about in this particular story. The thing about Speakers Magazine is that there's a video there as well. You can't say it all in the words, so that's why
Mhm.
we have the videos embedded in the online version as well. But definitely you can read about that. His ntd.com is the station he's on. And then Esther is next. And Esther is a global leader. So she's empowering women from around the world. She actually has a retreat where she does in London and Italy. I think Italy was last year. I'm not sure where it is this year. I think it's in South America this year, but it's groups of women, not large, not like hundreds and hundreds, but a few, 75 to 50 to 75 women, global leaders, and really taking them and really sharing with them leadership skills. And so a lot of this has to do with her transformational journey. She is uh, phenomenal. I've been to one of her retreats and she is just amazing.
Mhm.
I love the fact that people are taking their superpowers and translating it and then putting it into a program where other people can garner and learn from them. And one of the things that she does is that she really does really big in terms of personal development, helping women understand their path to their purpose. I think that's one of her books was called Why. Like, what are you here for? Like, why? And that's what she pulls that out of people as well. Speak Sell Shine, that's coming up again in October, like I said, at the Howard Theater. And we'll also be having dinner at the Press Club and meeting the media. It was the first year I did it kicking and screaming because I was like, okay, isn't there enough events? But I created an event because I didn't see an event like this. So if you're interested, you can get on the wait list, Speak Sell Shine. We hand select the people because we want the group to really meld together. And
Mhm.
I want to make sure that they are on the same page with each other. And so you can go to Speak Sell Shine and get on the wait list. And then we actually send out applications. And then for the month of August, the last page is our brand fluence, where that will be happening in Indianapolis. Linda Clemens, who we met YB at
Mhm.
George Frazier's event. She's a
Yep.
phenomenal sales trainer. And I'll be speaking on PR, but Yolanda Smith, which is one of your cohort members from
Yep.
Speak So Shine,
Yep.
is having an event in August in Indy. And again, she's this is her first event. And if and so Noble, obviously, they've been around for a long time, but and they're doing your 23rd one this year, right? But you would know that doing any event is always a little out of the comfort zone because you just want to speak. But
Right.
I always tell speakers they need to create their own signature event at
Mhm.
least once a year. And
Mhm.
that really gives you an opportunity to really bring in the people who want to hear directly from you. If you're speaking at another event, they may come for that event, but this is you're actually coming for you. Again, it's one of those things where what if they don't come? It's like with
Right.
anything. It's like if you make a pitch, what if they don't accept it? Or what if you
Mhm.
try to make a sale? It's still you have to risk to win. And so for her event coming up is already half sold out, and it's not until like the end of August. So it's going to be a success, but it's just always nerve wracking to put together an event because you're trying to do all the things and making sure that the experience is right. But she's got Linda Clemens there, and you're having a mastermind dinner with her. Linda was just at Mind Valley and she spoke to like 5,000 people, and she
Mm.
be at Yolanda's event. And Yolanda is no joke. I mean, she treats branding like it's a science. It is
Mhm.
serious. I mean, you can have a brand book from her, like her brand study on you, like this thick. And she really gives you the rationale of everything that she prongs it out of you, and she puts it together in a strategic plan for you. It's amazing. It is like a science. It's not just photos. It's a real brand
Yeah.
uh, package. So that is our issue. Going back to our cover girl, Dr. Rhonda. She is the cover girl for the month of July. And I'm so excited about her being on this cover because this is our 7-year anniversary issue. July is a special month, doing the seventh month, 7th year, right?
That's right.
7th month, 7th year. So I'm just really excited about it. This issue is really, really good. If you want to get the magazine, you can always subscribe to it free online, or if you want to get in
Mhm.
the mail, you can go there
Mhm.
to speakersmagazine.com and get it as well. But this particular issue is hot. It is hot. I just really, really thank you, Dr. Ross.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pam.
Yeah. And
And you'll be getting these in the mail soon as well as your cover and all the things. So
Yeah.
and situation is that she's moved, and she's moved.
Yes.
Yeah, you were last year you were in Florida. This year you're
Yes. Yeah.
in
In
Charlotte
Florida. We were in Florida 3 years,
from
and we
DC.
decided, you know what? Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go. So we're in North Carolina. We're in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and it is awesome. I
I hear
love
it's
that
beautiful.
town. It's just
I
the
heard
best.
I heard it's beautiful, and a lot of trees, a lot
Oh,
of greenery, a lot of greenery. I guess a lot
yes.
of furniture is made in that Charlotte area or in that North Carolina
Yeah,
area.
North Carolina, they have a lot of really cool spots where you can go and just take. There's one in particular. I'm not going to say the name, but they got some stuff in there. Woo, stuff. Woo.
That is good. That
Mm,
is good. Well, she
mm.
is on her next wave of really speaking and making an impact with that. Thank you so much for joining us on Speakers Magazine. YB, thank you so much
my
uh,
pleasure.
for joining us today. I
Oh,
will
yeah.
put a shout out of the drink that you have me keep me going the rest of
Keep
the
it
day
Yeah,
today.
going. Keeping speakers going all around the globe. Let's
There you
go.
go. There
Thanks for
you
the
go.
plug.
It
I
is.
appreciate
It
that.
is. All right. So with that, go to Speakers Magazine. Read about the entire feature of all the other speakers in the magazine. And if you want to get featured, go to speakersmagazine.com. All righty. I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out. Thank you guys for joining. Like, share, and subscribe.
thank you.
Love it.